Hello and welcome to my channel. If you like DIYs, farmhouse decor, upcycling, and more, you've come to the right place. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Hi everyone, Janie here. Today's project is inspired by these fun popsicle stick Christmas ornaments that I made with the primary girls at church a few years ago. And I got to thinking, if you can make them from popsicle sticks, why can't you make them from paint sticks? And not only can you make them from 1-gallon paint sticks, but you can also make them from 5-gallon paint sticks, as I will show you later in the video. But for right now, let's get started making these fun Christmas decor pieces with 1-gallon paint sticks. You'll also need some large craft sticks that you could pick up from the Dollar Tree or some 1-quart paint sticks. Okay, to make the snowman, you're going to need 3 1-gallon paint sticks, and you are going to glue them together just like this. And before you glue them together, line them up to make sure that they fit together nicely and that there's not a gap in between, because sometimes the sticks are not perfect. So after doing that, which I'll do here in a minute, you have to make a decision on the hat. Now, you see how there's these little spaces right there? Okay, if you put those at the top, you can use a piece of paint stick. I think this one is about 5 inches long, and it will cover up those spaces right there, and that will create the snowman's hat. And we'll get to that later, but I'm just showing you a couple of options. So another option is turning this around and using one of those craft sticks. So if you don't have a way to cut the paint stick down, then a craft stick will work great to help create the hat. And these little openings down here are not a big deal. I'll show you a snowman later that I did where the openings are at the bottom, but I'm going to be putting some decorations down there on that one, so you could do the same thing. But those are just a couple of options for the hats. But for right now, I'm going to turn all of these over, because on the back side of these, I don't know if you can see it good, yeah, there are ruler measurements, and so we want this to be the back so that it's, not showing up on the front. And so I am going to be turning these all around and gluing this together. And the reason why I'm doing it with this side facing up is because once I glue them together like that, I am also going to put some braces across the back using the popsicle sticks. And they actually cut pretty easy if you have a sturdy pair of scissors. And so we're going to attach a couple of braces. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go glue these together, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got those pieces glued together, and I used my Beacon Fabri-Tac, which is a permanent bond, and it is good for wood. So I use that. You can use your hot glue gun, and I'm going to be using my hot glue gun here in a minute. And what I did next is cut down pieces to use for braces across the back. And I did that by using one of those large craft sticks. And I just marked off where I needed to cut so that it would fit. And I just used my scissors, and this cuts really well. Of course, this piece of stick will probably go flying. Oop, it didn't. Good. Sometimes these pieces just like to go flying, though. Whoop, kind of like that one. All right, so I am going to use my hot glue gun and just glue these braces on the back just to keep it more stable. Okay, so that's all on there, and we're going to be painting, and I'll tell you right now, and I will show you, but I'm going to paint from about the center of right here. I'm going to paint that black from there up, and I'm going to paint it white from there down. Now, if you're doing it the other way, where you're using the other stick across the top, I would put your stick where you want it, and I would put a line there so that you'd know that from that line up it needs to be black. So let me grab my paint, and I am going to be using, for the black, I'm going to be using this Apple Barrel black acrylic paint. And for the white, I'm torn, and you'll find out here in a minute what I end up using, but I was thinking about using the Apple Barrel white, but I think if I can reach it, hold on one second. I think I might use my Home Decor chalk paint because actually this is my absolute favorite. So I'll probably use this. So it's Folk Art Home Decor. This is White Adirondack, but I will have links below in the description box to all of the paints and other things that I'm using. I'm also going to be painting the top and sides of this piece that is also part of the hat, and I'm also going to be painting these cute little wooden half circles, I guess is what you would call them, because I might be using these. So you'll just have to wait and see. So really quick tip, I take a piece of Scotch tape and roll it like we often do if we're going to try to, stick something to something like that. Okay, so we've got it rolled up, and then I stick it on the back of the bead because I am not going to be painting the back of the bead, and this allows me control when getting the bead painted, and then when I sit it down, it keeps it in place to dry. Okay, it's time to paint the bottom part of the snowman white, and I've decided on the Home Decor chalk paint and White Adirondack, but you can always use a white acrylic paint if you like. So let's get started. Okay, I've got my snowman painted front and back, and I've got the brim of the hat painted front and most of the back, but leaving that area unpainted for adhering on there, and that's what we're going to do right now. And there we have the hat. And you can always add things to the hat, whether you wanted to add something that looks like snow on it, or holly leaves, or a bow. You can do whatever you want. And those little wooden half balls that I painted, I think I'm going to glue those on for eyeballs. What do you think, huh? Okay, so this cute little carrot nose, I have to tell you how I made it. It just was an idea that came to me and worked out perfect. So I took a popsicle stick, and as you can see, I just cut from the edges like to the center and created that. Is that like cool or what? Okay, and then trying to find the right color orange, just like, we don't always have the colors we want. So I have this vivid orange multi-surface paint and this moon yellow multi-surface paint, and I just combined them together to create the perfect color for the carrot nose. Okay, so let me put some glue on the back of that, and we'll get that put on. Okay, get that off the edge there, and kind of pick a spot. I don't know, I kind of like right there. Okay, now he needs a little smiley mouth, and I am going to be painting that on freehand with some black paint. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I think that is close enough. So I'm going to let that dry here for a minute before adding the scarf and the buttons. Okay, I believe that smile is dry and it's time to put on the finishing touches. So I have tied a bow and a ribbon here, and I'm going to be attaching that right up here on the hat. And now I'm going to take this piece of ribbon and we're going to attach that for the scarf. So let me just kind of get it where I want it. And that should do it. Okay, so now we have the scarf. And now, again, trying to get this glue off my fingers. I am just not a hot glue girl. Okay, so I have some more of those little wooden half circles or half balls that I painted, and I think I'm just going to attach them right there. This was quick, easy, and fun, and it really didn't take much to make it. So look at that. Aren't those just adorable? We have our little popsicle stick snowman ornament, and we have our 1 gallon paint stick snowman home decor piece, and now I'm going to show you a picture of my 5 gallon paint stick snowman. To make the Christmas tree, you are going to need 3 1 gallon paint sticks. 1 stick is for the trunk of the tree, and the other 2 we're going to cut up to make the branches. So if you cut a paint stick off right here, do it right here below that curve, you're going to have 9 inches of paint stick. And you are going to cut one of those with a 6-inch piece and a 3-inch piece, which will equal 9 inches. And the same thing with the other one, you are going to cut a 5-inch and a 4-inch. So that will work perfectly to cut it out of those 2 paint sticks, and that will give you a 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch piece that you will be using to make this Christmas tree with. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to either paint the trunk of the tree brown, or you could do what I'm going to do. I'm using this Folk Art Home Decor wax in antique wax, and that's what I'm going to be using. And you can do it front and back or just the front. On this tree, we didn't do the back at all, but if you think someone's going to see the back, I would do the back. And then you are going to paint the branches green or whatever color you want. You may want them white. My suggestion is to just paint the front and the edges, and you can paint the back later if you want, but you want to make sure that it's not painted in the area that we're going to be gluing on, just so that it adheres really good. So let's get started on getting these things painted. I only put on a thin layer, but when using this wax, always use a lint-free cloth. In this case, I actually have a lint-free paper towel, and you just wipe off any excess. And so that's what I'm doing here, and as you can see, there's some excess coming off, even though I only put on a thin coat. So let me get the edges and everything, but as you can see, it stains beautifully. I just love this stuff, and it washes off your hands and brushes with just water. So it's really great. And then for those of you who want to know if this is, going to mess up if water gets on it later, there's actually a curing time. All the directions are on the bottle, and I have some that I can wipe and wipe and wipe and nothing comes off, that I've done previously. So just follow the directions on the bottle and you'll end up with a beautiful piece that you don't have to worry about the stain coming off later. Okay, now I'm ready to paint the branches, and I'm painting them this color green. And what I did was I have this really pretty bright green. It is a multi-surface paint from Folk Art, and I didn't have the color I wanted. I didn't want it to be such a bright green, so I added a couple drops of this black. And Apple Barrel and Folk Art are both made by Plaid, so I figured they'd mix together well, and it looks like they have. So it is time to start painting. Okay, everything is painted and ready to go. I did the back of the sticks, just leaving that spot right there for them to adhere to the trunk of the tree. And now, before I put those on, I want to put the star. Get that? I made that with little gems and foil and stuff. But anyways, I'm going to put the star on first so that I will know where to start lining things up. And actually, I think I'm going to turn this around. So there we go. And I'll just get this on real quick. Okay, and there it is, all ready to decorate. And you can see on this one, I actually use stickles to create that, design, like little garland or lights all over it. So you can decorate with things like stickles and liquid pearls. There's all kinds of beautiful options there. Or you might pick up something like this at the Dollar Tree and glue those on. Or you might have a thin little garland that you want to put on there. Or you may have a glue gun that has glitter sticks to use in it. There are so many possibilities. And right now you're saying, well, you could have put more branches on there. And you could, but I am going to be creating a little tree holder out of this planter's nut thing, and you'll see it when I'm done. And this is going to be sitting inside of it like that. So there are just a lot of options, and you'll see mine when it's done. Okay, and last but not least is the sled. And for that, you are going to need 9 1-gallon paint sticks and 3 of the large craft sticks. And unlike this one that only has 4 sticks, we're going to be using 6. And then for the runners on the bottom, we have 2 paint sticks. And for the crossbar, we have another paint stick that needs to be cut down to somewhere between 8 and 8.5 inches. I think this one is 8 1/4, but you decide. And we have the 3 craft sticks to create the braces with. So when lining up the sticks for the base of the sled, make sure that everything lines up nicely, that there are no gaps, and then you can eyeball how you want to put these. I like to do it where they are about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch in distance, so that everything kind of works out. I mean, seriously, you can just eyeball it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to glue these pieces together, and again, I'm going to be using my Beacon Fabri-Tac. And then I'm going to come back with the hot glue gun, and I am going to be gluing the braces on. So when you do this, make sure, because I haven't even made sure with mine yet, but make sure that the part with the ruler measurements is facing up, because this is going to be the bottom of the sled underneath. And so we want it facing up so that we can put the braces on there. So let's get started on that. Okay, I've got those paint sticks all glued together, and it's now time to put on the braces. So what I've done is I've taken one of those sticks, and you can see that I have lines drawn on them. What I did was I sat it down on here, and then making sure that I make these lines where to cut past these seams. That way this brace goes all the way across and touches all of the sticks. And then I just cut them down to fit. So just grab my scissors here and cut this one down, and that one. And the reason I'm cutting them down instead of leaving it going all the way across is we have to have room to put the runners on here. So we don't want to put the runners on the very edge. They have to come in a little bit. So I will start putting these on, and I am going to be using my Beacon Fabri-Tac and my glue gun for this. Okay, and now that that's done, we're going to flip it over and look for any excess glue that seeped through the cracks, because you're going to want to remove that. And if you used something like my Beacon Fabri-Tac, then that glue will actually just rub off. Okay, that's just one of the things I love about that glue. You can also use, let me grab it here, a glue eraser, depending on the glue that you used. Or if you needed to, a sanding block, because you don't want any of the glue seeping through for when you paint it, or even if you leave it the way it is. You don't want that to show, but if you're going to paint it or use a stain on it, that can affect it. And I am not going to use this time, but I absolutely love this and used it on another sled that I'm going to show you. But you can also paint this any color you want. But let me show you that sled. This is one I made with 5-gallon paint sticks. It's kind of big, hard to get on the screen, but this is what it would look like with that stain. It's really rich and beautiful, and I did that because I was doing this stenciling on here that I really wanted to pop. So that's just an idea. I'll have some pictures of that sled so you can get a better look at it later here in the video. But now it's time to do whatever painting you're going to do. So you have your crossbar, and you're going to want to paint that. And you have your runners, and you're going to want to paint those. Now, when you paint these, this is really important because I have made this mistake before, okay? When you paint these, you are going to want to make sure that you leave one side not painted that we're going to be gluing onto the bottom of the sled. And you also want to make sure that the that wonderful part with the writing on it is facing inside instead of outside on the sled. So for example, and I'll show you here on the top, you're going to be adhering them on the bottom like so. And so, like I said, just don't paint this part, but paint everything else and make sure that that part would be over here so it's facing the inside. So with that said, I'm going to be doing some painting. I'm going to paint the crossbar red just like we did on this one, and I'm going to be painting the runners black just like we did on this one, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got the pieces painted and ready to start putting on, and I'm going to be using my Beacon Fabri-Tac for the permanent hold, and I will also be using a little bit of my glue gun for the quick hold. So I'm going to get started by putting on the crossbar first. And now that it's all put together, this is the time to start decorating. So if you stained this or painted it, you did it before you put all of this together. And so now you're to the point where you can do some stenciling or decoupage. You can add some Christmas decorations up here. You could do some vinyling. There are so many possibilities. And if you would like, this is something that I did to mine, you can tie a piece of twine up here to the crossbar as an added piece of decoration, which is really a cute idea. But that doesn't need to be done. That is just one of those ideas. And you'll see pictures here in a minute of what I did to mine.
I decided to stencil snowflakes using this beautiful snowflake stencil from In Love Arts, and I used pixie spray to hold it in place while I used the home decor chalk paint in Adirondack White to do the stenciling. I really love these paint stick Christmas decor projects, and I hope you do too. Not only are they adorable, but for 98 cents you get a 10-pack of 1-gallon paint sticks, which is enough to make a snowman and a Christmas tree, and have enough left over to make one more. Or you can use 1 pack to make the sled. And if you want to make larger decor pieces, you can use the 5-gallon paint sticks, and the directions are exactly the same. And if you like those cute little Christmas ornaments, I'm going to have a link here on the screen as my video is ending, and a link below in the description box to that video. And as always, there'll be links to the products that I used today. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Merry Christmas and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I hope you consider that too. And if you do, be sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos or giveaways. And I hope you stop by Crafters Castle on Facebook and also Crafters Castle Challenge blog to enter your creations.